Welcome back to the webcast. It is Thursday, August 29th. We have match week 3 of the Premier League season coming up this weekend, and we got Jacob with us. Let's dive into our Premier
Let's do
League
it.
predictions for the week. And we start off with a top of the table battle between undefeated Arsenal and undefeated Brighton at the Emirates. What a game against Aston Villa last time out for Arsenal. They were able to bag all 3 points for the first time in over a year against Villa. Could go a long way in this title race. Can they keep the hot start to the season going with a win against Brighton?
Yeah, I think they do. They just had a big signing. Marino, 28-year-old from Real Sociedad, was pretty important for Spain in their Euros win. He just seems like the perfect box-to-box midfielder that's going to disrupt any sort of possession that another team like Brighton likes to do. Um, yeah, great signing there. I think Arsenal got a tiny bit lucky with Ollie Watkins obviously missing two big chances. Uh, Gabriel's mistake was really, really poor. He didn't get punished, luckily. Saliba, though, I can't say enough good things about him. He's just the complete center back.
World class.
For me, he's the best in the world in that position. Yeah, Trossard coming on, scoring with his first touch of the game was really cool to see. He kind of changed the game. I got Arsenal winning this one. Brighton coming off a win against United, like solid win in their Amex home opener. You got to say they're a little lucky though. United had two disallowed goals, especially the Xerxes one. Xerxes doing his best Nani impression and just tapping that in with his knee when he could have just gotten out of the way. The commentators were giving him sympathy that he couldn't move. Like, just put your knee down, man. Like the
Don't
ball's
stand
in,
up.
and they got that João Pedro last minute winner. Good results, fair play to them. I do think their undefeated start to the season comes to an end this weekend, though. I think Arsenal's just better.
Yeah, we'll get to the Garnacho trying to replicate another thing that Cristiano Ronaldo did, which is that disallowed goal uh, in epic fashion. But I agree with you, Arsenal. You say lucky. I say you make your own luck in a way. Yes, Gabriel had that one mistake, but defensively with Raya and Saliba, they were strong. They gave up only those couple of chances, and Villa were just unable to capitalize. And then boom, with the depth that they have, they're able to go on the other end. One of only two unbeaten teams through 2 games in the Premier League. I think they'll keep a clean sheet here against Brighton. I like Gilmore and Milner and what the work they were able to do against United last week, but I don't think it's going to be enough when you have Odegaard and Partey and Declan Rice against those two guys in the middle. So give me Arsenal 2-0 at home to keep the winning streak alive. Nottingham Forest, or I should say unbeaten Nottingham Forest, hosting Wolves, who had a tough campaign in their first 2 weeks. Last week, obviously, losing 6-2 to Chelsea. The week before, losing 2-0 to Arsenal. But can they get some points here traveling to the City Ground against Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, so this one kind of hard to call. Both teams not playing particularly well. Nottingham Forest obviously starting the season undefeated. They got to be happy about that. Wolves looked really solid, not really solid, but they looked competitive against Chelsea in the first half. Second half, they just completely gave up. Gary O'Neill's got to figure out what happened there. I don't know what he told them at halftime, but they just they Chelsea scored in the beginning of both halves, and they just weren't ready to play, and Chelsea took full advantage. Nottingham Forest, they did get the win against Southampton with, I think, just about 35% possession. Weren't really able to hold the ball. Granted, they're playing away. I think this game has draw written all over it, but it's really hard to call. I could see Wolves coming back with some vengeance after that embarrassment
Yeah, I like
also.
Acuna last 5 minute banger here to take all 3 points at the City Grounds. Give me Wolves here. I know as a Chelsea fan and watching Chelsea absolutely dismantle Wolves in the second half, I should have no hope for Wolves whatsoever. But the way you started those first two games, you got no points on the board after 2 weeks. You're sitting there in 19th position. You're going to want to get something on the board. And like you mentioned, the first 45 minutes for Wolves in against Chelsea were very good. They're almost unlucky not to be up 3-2 or even 4-2 by the time Chelsea scored that third goal about the 50th minute, 5 minutes into the second half. So give me Wolves there to get a win at Forest, who for me were just not impressive, minus Gibbs White, obviously, who's been fantastic, and Kyle Walker Peters. But give me Wolves there to get all 3 points. Leicester at home to take on Villa, who you mentioned earlier were a little bit unlucky, Ollie Watkins, not to get on the board with maybe even a brace against Arsenal. They should have it easier against Leicester. I like Onana and Rodgers' first two games of the season. I think they have been absolutely fantastic. Big worry for me was that central of the park with the losses of Douglas Luiz and Diaby, but they have come in and shown their quality. I like Villa all 3 points there away to Leicester.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Fulham had most of the chances in that home opener against Leicester City. Leicester did pretty well to stay in the game. It was 1-1 for a little while. They did just sign Jordan Ayew from Crystal Palace. He should see the Premier League field in a Leicester shirt this weekend. I think that's a good signing. Get a really experienced Premier League player. They got him for just $5 million transfer fee. Pretty good signing, but I think Aston Villa is going to just be too strong. Ollie Watkins really needs to figure out what's going on. He had a great Premier League campaign last year. He had a great Euros. Everyone thought he was going to just keep flying, and maybe he's gotten a little too cocky. I don't know. He needs to focus up. That chance after that Gabriel mistake, like any striker in any kind of form will finish that, and that just proves that he isn't in his best form right now. I think he rebounds here, though. I like Aston Villa at the
Yes.
King Power.
And one thing that we definitely like is Ed Sheeran sitting in the box this weekend at home, their second home game of the season after that thrashing they took from Holland and Manchester City at the Etihad. They get Ed Sheeran back in the box with his tractor. Going to be fantastic. See if they can get anything against Fulham. Definitely a team you want to get points against if you're going to want to stay above the relegation zone. Can they do it this week?
Another tough match to call. This is going to be the battle of the newly signed CDMs. Calvin Phillips will finally get to see some Premier League playing time after spending most of the time on the bench last year for City, and then not getting to play last week because they played City and he's on loan now, and then obviously not starting in the first game because he was getting that signing done. And Sanderberg should get his first play time in a Fulham shirt. Should be a good battle. I know Fulham was thinking about potentially signing Phillips. Get to see if they made the right choice going with the Burnley man over Calvin Phillips. I could see this game with Ipswich at home as a draw, but I think Fulham honestly had a super solid game, even though they only won by the one goal. They had tons of chances. I actually slightly like Fulham win here.
Yeah, I like Emil Smith Rowe, I think, has been fantastic. Got the goal last week for Fulham. I agree with you. A sneaky draw here for Ipswich Town. Fulham playing back-to-back promoted sides. I think they will do what they did to Leicester and get all 3 points, but I could sneaky see a draw for my boy Ed, in the box celebrating his first point. I mean,
Yeah, I'm
could
gonna go
see.
draw.
All right, let's go draw for Ed. Ed in the
That's a tough
box.
one to call, though.
Yeah, definitely a tough one to call. This one as well, Southampton, just haven't been impressed really. Kyle Walker Peters, the only one I was impressed with last week against Nottingham Forest, and that's about it from Southampton. We were worried about if they're going to score goals. I don't think they're going to score very many throughout the calendar year. So I actually like Brentford at home, even with all the Ivan Toney nonsense. I actually like them to get all 3 points. Southampton haven't scored yet this season, and I just don't see it'll be enough to win away at Brentford.
Yeah, Southampton played an hour against Newcastle, up a man, still couldn't score. They had tons of chances. Last week they had lots of possession at St. Mary's against Nottingham Forest, but still couldn't find the back of the net.
Yeah.
Ivan Toney needs to figure out where he wants to go, so Brentford could figure out what they need to do. I'm sure Thomas Frank isn't too thrilled about that. I do like Brentford winning.
Yeah. The other team in the Premier League that hasn't scored a goal yet this season is Everton, and they've shelled out 7 the other way. Jordan Pickford coming back from a second appearance in the Euros final, only to a couple games later follow it up with that howler, losing the ball at his feet for a nice easy tap in. I just don't know what to expect from Everton. Ashley Young ruined week 1. The entire defense ruined week 2. Bournemouth, can they get in? They're Bournemouth at the end of the day. So I'm going to go draw here just because it's at Goodison. I don't really know how to feel about either of these. Do you feel any which way?
Bournemouth is still undefeated, by the way. They got 2 draws.
Undefeated Bournemouth.
Yeah, Everton starting the season a lot like last season under Dyche in his second year there. Back-to-back years, just starting the season very slowly. They still just have a back position. They had Roman Dixon on his debut. He didn't do too bad. You have to say the last goal, he's not tracking Son. He's just drifting to the center, and Van de Ven has an easy pass right to Son, and Son puts it away. They really need to figure out that position. Ashley Young will be sitting his second of his 3-game red card suspension this weekend, so they won't have him back for a couple games. Not that they want him back, but at least he's
Everything
got
to win.
Kind of experience. They've been linked with Gonzalo Montiel, which would be an amazing signing to fill that problem. It seems a little too good to be true. Bournemouth had a great game against Newcastle. They led most of the game. They had that disallowed handball goal, really controversial.
Factual handball.
I think they probably should have just let the call stand. It was a little bit inconclusive in my opinion. I can see that it seemed like it was a little bit far down the arm, but the ref called it a goal on the field, and the whole point of the changes to VAR was to just side with the ref if you're not sure. But in this case, they decided to intervene. There's no consistency in the Premier League for any kind of refereeing or VAR decisions, and I think that's the most frustrating part.
Exactly. And we started, every episode so far this season with something about VAR, whether it's red cards or now disallowed goal. Absolutely ridiculous. I didn't want to get into it, but the entire last 2 years, anything you've been told is that the shirt line, which you can also, the sleeve line, also can keep you offsides. If your shoulder is offsides, it counts as offsides, and a goal will be disallowed for offsides if that part of your body is past the last defender. It is supposed to be part of your actual body. It is not supposed to be a handball. It clearly hits him in the shirt on the sleeve, and that's not a handball. No matter which way you look at it, it should have stood. Another terrible VAR decision, and I could see draw. You want to lean Bournemouth then? You want to lean Bournemouth? I'll lean Bournemouth.
So what I was going to say is Semenyo is looking absolutely amazing on the wing. Attacking position. Vanelson, their new forward, looked super promising. He had a couple chances. He could have slotted one in. He didn't get so lucky his first time in a Bournemouth kit. I think Bournemouth, like I said, is playing pretty well. If this game was at home to Bournemouth, I would pick them to win. Since it's at Goodison, I think Everton will hold on to a draw. They really need to figure out their stuff, though. They're 7 goals against 0-4 in 2 games to start is not what you want to see on a Sean Dyche team.
Yeah. 7 goals against.
Normally have a strong defense Yeah, they're just not looking good on either side. I think they start to figure it out after their slow start, though.
Yeah. The team not sits top of the table. Manchester City, 2 wins from 2. Casual business with Holland getting a hat trick. How many?
You
It's like
called
a
it.
hat trick every 5 games for the guy in his Premier League career, which is absolutely fantastic. Seems like City
Ten
never really
percent,
got
10% of his
10%.
games with City, at
Ridiculous.
10 hat tricks and 101 appearances. So just about
Absolutely
10%.
incredible. And that last goal, he had no business scoring. He just threw a peg at it in bottom right hand corner. Doesn't care who was in the way. Absolutely fantastic. Seems like City never got really out of first gear, second gear maybe. They scored 3 goals so fast after Ipswich were able to get the first goal. West Ham grew into both games over the last 2 weeks. Suchek getting the first shot on target in the 60th minute and scoring, and then rescuing a ball boy from a crushing billboard. Absolutely fantastic. And for that reason, I think Suchek is one, he's going to run for 90 minutes. West Ham is going to give you 90 minutes worth of work. They're going to grow into games. With City, I feel like they're still trying to get up to speed a little bit. I know it's hard to say. Holland has 4 goals already, a couple assists, KDB doing what he's doing. But actually, I like a sneaky draw here for West Ham at home at the London Stadium. As a City fan, do you see that as a possibility?
I don't know. Fear the bubbles, who
Fear
knows?
the bubbles.
Yeah, Jared Bowen opening his campaign with a great goal against Palace. I think a lot of people were expecting a better Palace performance in that game. West Ham definitely shut up the critics. They still got Paqueta for the time being. City, though, they just once that Ipswich goal went in, they just turned it up and they just absolutely dominated the game. Rico Lewis on that goal, though, really bad transition defense. I really want Pep to stop with that experiment where Rico's on the right back, and when we're on attack, he goes and plays center attacking mid. It's just too much running. Rico's played decently well. He should have scored. I don't know how he missed that one off the crossbar from about 7 yards out. Savino did great to draw the penalty.
Love him, man.
He's been
Love him.
great signing. Kovacic came off injured. We had to play John Stones in at the defensive mid position for a little while. Obviously, Gundogan came in and helped out in the center mid, and Rodri looks like he's back in training, and I think he gets to start this weekend. And for that reason,
fast?
I have to
Oh,
say Mr. City is Rodri. When Rodri plays, Rodri wins, and it's just
that
that
is true.
simple.
I'm under the impression he wouldn't start. That's it. I thought this would still be him
Yeah, it would
getting
be good
more
timing with
acclimating.
Kovacic going off.
Yeah, if he starts, I would agree with you. However, I don't think he will, and I got a draw here. So, I'll leave it to you as the fan to choose which one you want to go with here. A draw.
No,
Wow,
I'll
wow,
give it
wow,
to you.
wow.
I
Okay.
disagree,
Well,
but
we might disagree on this one, but in the opposite direction. Chelsea played today against Servette, second leg of the qualifying for the Europa Conference League. And going into this game with such confidence, we knew that there was going to be changes due to the fact that we have one, such a big squad, and two, you're playing Thursday, Sunday. You're going to need, some rotation there, especially when you're playing a team that a couple weeks ago lost 6-0 to FC Basel. You have a 2-0 lead going into the second leg. You're going to make some changes there. However, Matchweek started, Nkunku started, Tossin started, Alexi Desasi started, which I was happy to see because Betty Shield can't make a 5-yard pass. And so you're still expecting, things to go well. A penalty early on for Nkunku, slots it home nicely, 2 penalties, 2 goals in 2 weeks, in 1 week for him. And then nothing. I mean, Madueke gets the ball in the same position he scored a hat trick against Wolves last week, hits it right at the keeper. The Mudryk cannot figure out what to do with the ball, whether that's to pass, whether it's to dribble. His confidence is completely gone. It's completely shot, even against these weaker teams, completely gone. And I just think you talked about it earlier, that first half against Wolves. I mean, Cunha hits the crossbar late in the first half, early in the second half. You had these open transitions, these good opportunities in the first half, and you just felt like something happened. I agree with you with Wolves. You know, the left back kind of gets out of position a couple of times. Medweke is able to finish. Cole Palmer, obviously being Cole Palmer, a late chip in the first half to kind of make it 2-2 going into halftime. Chelsea easily could have been down 2-1. And so for me, with Mateta coming back for Crystal Palace, the way that last week's game went for Palace, it was kind of you expected a little bit more from them. They're coming to Stamford Bridge. I actually think this will end in a draw.
Okay. You spent so long just not talking about the second half when that was one of the best second half performances from any team in the entire season so far. It's obviously early on in the season, but João Felix looked great. Madueke obviously on a hat trick after talking a bunch of crap about the city of Wolverhampton and then scoring a hat trick against them and then cheekily apologizing after. Cole Palmer is so good. Crystal Palace just signed Nketiah, or looks like they're going to sign Nketiah. I really like that signing. I think they could use him. A little unfortunate not to get a goal against West Ham. Eza is looking super solid. He's seeing a little bit more of the ball with Michael Elise going to Bayern, obviously. I could see this going as a draw. I would be more confident in that prediction if Crystal Palace was at home. With this at Stamford Bridge and Palace having to travel that short distance to West London, I like a Chelsea win just after that performance in the second half with Wolves. But if I can see a draw, so if you think draw, I'm gonna go with that.
Sadly, I do think draw. I would love to be wrong. Netflix got their first combination goal, Neto to João Felix. Coined. I can't remember who coined it after the game from a Chelsea perspective, but I love that. I love that nickname. Netflix down the left hand side to João Felix with a nice tap in. Absolutely fantastic. So I'd love to see it. I just feel like we're still going to be doing this a lot of the year. Great win against Wolves, and yes, I didn't mention the second half. Absolutely fireworks. But it's one of those performances when you look at the entirety of a game. I don't have the same confidence as a 6-2 scoreline should give you, purely because of that first half and the way the second half started. It's just not there. And so I would go draw here. Newcastle, rough start, really there to start. Tottenham picking up the pace last week. 4 goals against Everton as they travel to St. James's Park. I like Tottenham to keep it rolling under Big Ange away to Newcastle.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you. Newcastle just doesn't look like they know what to do with the ball. Like, they've got quality players, of course, and they're holding possession decently well, but it just doesn't seem like they know how to create anything at the moment. Their creative players are just lacking. Gordon obviously saved a point for them against Bournemouth really late. That was an important goal. Tottenham, however, though, they were just flying. They could do no wrong. Granted, they're playing a pretty shaky Everton team. Solanke, though, was out with an ankle injury. No problem at all. Son just goes into that false 9 role and gets a brace. Bentancur was out with a concussion. Again, no problem at all. Basuma comes in after that short suspension for a little bit of that video of Basuma coming out doing some naughty things, but he comes back in a great way with an awesome goal. I think that was his first goal for Tottenham. Correct me if I'm wrong. Definitely first one outside the box. That was a brilliant shot. I like Tottenham to keep rolling. We picked Tottenham to end in third this year. They had that shaky start against Leicester. I was starting to question it, but Postecoglou reminded us what his team looks like, and it looked great against Everton. Let's pick them at St. James's Park.
Yep. The only way defensive mid score is bangers. I mean, that's just the only way that happens. So you knew it was coming. Classic CDM goal outside the box. This one will be a classic as well. Sunday, noontime here on the East Coast. United taking on Liverpool at Old Trafford. You mentioned the Garnacho offsides goal. And so I'm going to bring that.
I think it was Xerxes, but yeah.
Yeah, Xerxes was offsides, but Garnacho shot it.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
And so, why he didn't start game and why it took so long for him to come on was beyond me. Ahmad had a terrible, woeful first half performance. That second half, he gets the goal, and so now you have that decision of
The
what to
worst
do.
performance I've ever seen from someone who scored in that game. Like that was
Exactly,
dreadful.
absolutely. Back, and you can apply that too. That's the Chelsea Wolves thing in a way. Yes, Chelsea scored 2 goals in the first half, but it leaves you like you scored and you did well, but like the extra part really kind of brings it down for me. Garnacho has to start this game for me. We'll see what they do with Rashford. Obviously, they have so many injuries. They're bringing people back to fitness. They had those transfers come in. De Ligt hopefully will start this game as well alongside Lisandro Martinez. But I just think this is going to be another one of those absolutely dominating performances from Liverpool at Old Trafford. Salah's going to score. You can bookmark it now. Definitely going to score. I like Liverpool easy in this one at Old Trafford.
Yeah, Liverpool back-to-back 2-0 wins, haven't been scored on. They look super solid. Again, I really like the Diogo Jota false nine role that Arne Slot's implementing. I thought Klopp should have done that more. Jota was more of a super sub last season. Darwin Nunez and Gakpo have not had a goal. Liverpool
Better
has
for
not scored
country.
while they were on the field one time this year. They both came on in the 72nd minute. They looked a lot better with no strikers on. Just keep Jota on. I think you're right though. Liverpool is going to steamroll United at Old Trafford. I do think United was a little bit unlucky, though. Again, I will say that against Brighton, but they still don't look near Liverpool's quality at this point.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that will do it for our picks here at the webcast. We got college football week 1 starting tonight, and then all the games this weekend. We got the Premier League, obviously, and the NFL kicks off next week. So come back and join us. All the artwork you see here at the webcast is done by Smiley Sports Artwork. Go check out her page on Instagram. And until next week, enjoy the games, and we'll see you next time.